What's up, guys? It is Thursday, August 22nd. I've got a lot I want to talk about. I haven't vlogged in a few days. We actually recorded a vlog yesterday, and I tried to edit last night after our after my scheduled editing evening, and it just didn't go well. I wasn't flowing very well, and there's just too many cuts. I was just like, you know what? Scrap it. And I went to bed. So haven't talked to you guys in a few days, so kind of get you up to speed as far as what's going on. But before we do that, let's go ahead and roll the intro. Let's get it. Yeah, I don't have any B-roll for this intro, so you just got me drinking some lemonade. Damn good lemonade, though. If you ever get a chance to purchase some, Hubert's Lemonade, it's really, really good. So far, the only places that I found it are some Walmarts and just about every Kroger's. I think Meijer might carry it too. It's a little on the pricey side, but it's really, really good. They've got a couple different variations. The new blueberry it's excellent. Excellent. Anyway, that's not why we're here to talk about lemonade. No. We are here to talk about something a little bit bigger than that. So in the midst of all the things changing in the past 2 months and me kind of going on hiatus for 30 days and getting caught up on work and filming weddings taking off like a madman and all that stuff, kind of missed my 1 year anniversary of starting this business. So started the business over a year ago, I believe. Well, hold on. So the first wedding that I ever filmed was last year, June 23rd. So it's been about 2 months since then. So I figured we'd take a little bit of time and kind of reflect and kind of see what I would change or see if we can learn from it. So I guess let's kind of start out with what everybody wants to talk about. What kind of camera gear was I using a year ago? And you might find this kind of funny, but everyone has to start somewhere, right? And that's the key thing, right? If you're just starting out, you don't have $5,000 to go out and spend on gear. You have to purchase with intent and purpose, and sometimes you have to purchase lower grade equipment that will get the job done so that you can earn more business to upgrade to better equipment later on down the line. So I've been there, trust me, and this what I'm about to share with you guys is definitely going to prove that. So the first camera that I filmed on, or my first wedding, my first gig, was on a Canon Vixia HFR800 or something like that. Yeah, I think it sounds fancy, but it's really not. It's a Handycam. Yeah, it's a HD 1080p 60 frames a second Handycam. In fact, it was so budget that it didn't even have a shoe mount on top for like a shotgun mic. So I had to buy like an extension arm for like kind of like low grade, low level type of angle things that had a couple different shoe mounts on top of it. So that's what I used for my shotgun mic. And I with that camera, so I had the shoe mount attachment with the handle grip, the Takstar shotgun mics, which I'm still using to this day. Those things have not failed me. I'm actually recording on one right now. Those things have not failed me. I know everybody swears by Rode mics and all that stuff, but you got a $25 mic and you got a $350 mic. It's not that much different. Well, I can't say that because I don't know, because I have never used one of those. I've never used a Rode video mic, but at the end of the day, after recording on this, I'm getting the audio that I'm looking for, and it's serving its purpose. In my wedding films, I don't always use the audio that comes from these microphones, but it's good for a backup. It also offers some good like ambient sounds and things like that for when I'm shooting ceremonies and stuff like that, like kind of the background noise. You know, if I'm outside shooting, it's great for capturing that audio of what's around us. It's all recorded into the camera, so I don't have to worry about, you know, lining up the video and the audio together. So that's always a plus. But so yeah, that was kind of my setup. The other thing, so as far as audio is concerned, kind of carrying on there, I purchased a Zoom H1 digital recorder. Kind of looks a little bit like this thing. This is the Olympus. This is the other one that I picked up to put a lapel mic on my Groom. I had one of these. This was for the Olympus digital recorder. This was what I used to record off of the lapel. Slid this into the pocket. It's a little bit bulkier, a little bit bigger, but it got the job done for the first couple weddings. And then the Zoom H1, the recorder that's similar to this, has the two microphones on top. I used that as kind of like setting that in like the front row to kind of capture everything, or if I scooted it closer to the officiant and the bride and groom when they were, you know, saying their vows and things like that, to kind of capture that. So that's what I use, and I still use the Zoom to this day, mostly for speeches as a backup, just in case something fails. I set that on the front table, or the head table rather, and use that to kind of capture the speeches if something were to fail. I've also used the Zoom H1 to plug into a DJ's interface if power supplies it. If it's able to supply it with the lines. Most of them aren't. They're just not. The Zoom isn't powerful enough to get the actual audio from it. So if it works, great. If it doesn't, it goes on the table. I did that for 4 weddings. The only piece of equipment that I added to that kit was my wife's backup camera, which is a Nikon D3200. It's a very entry-level camera. It records in 1080p, 30 frames a second, so, you know, it did the job that I needed it to do. The nice thing is, she's been a photographer for a good 5 to 6 years, so I've been able to commandeer a lot of those lenses that she's used in the past for that camera. So I've got a nice wide range of lenses to use. So that's something that I did not purchase for the early on stages of my wedding filmmaking career. So shooting on that Nikon really kind of lifted the quality of my shoots and of my films, which is great. But what I would suggest is, if you've got the extra money, right, spending $200 on the Canon and spending $400 on the Nikon, spend the $400 on the Nikon. Get that camera. The picture quality is much better. The low light, while it's still bad and not nearly as good as some of the other cameras, for that price point is much better than the Canon Handycam. It also looks more professional. And it's all around. There's a lot of different lenses that you can get for what you want to do. You can rent zoom lenses for it, as well as kind of macro lenses to kind of get those really up close, like ring shots and things like that. So if I had to give you any advice as far as like when you're first starting out, go with the DSLR. So the first purchase that I made in last year was an upgrade in audio equipment, because I wasn't getting the best sound out of these devices. So I picked up a rather expensive piece of equipment, a $200 digital recorder called the Tascam DR10L. This is a pretty well-known piece of equipment in the industry. If you're just starting out, this is a great piece of equipment to purchase, just because people can stomach, you know, poor video, like, you know, 1080p, you know, it's a little bit of grain, you know, poor low light. They can stomach that. But if you have poor audio, that's when it starts to kind of feel like nails on a chalkboard. So one of the first things that I realized I needed to upgrade in my game was these digital recorders. So I picked up a single one of those the DR10Ls, the Tascam digital recorders, and it comes with a nice lapel mic. It's super tiny. The quality is 10 times better. The fact that it records 2 back-to-back recordings has saved me more than once. Not just because one failed, but because someone spoke up versus their average speaking, especially during like toasts and during speeches and things like that. And having that lower level was great for like when you're trying to equal out the actual ceremony. So like if you've got the mic on the groom and you've got him at plus 10 decibels and you've got the bride at minus 10, there's going to be a little bit of a vague difference there. So you flip-flop the two, and you use the one that's the minus for the groom and the one that's the plus for the zero for the bride, so that they kind of equal out, because she's a little bit further away from the mic than he is, obviously. So at the end of the day, really enjoyed using that piece of equipment. That was a huge upgrade for mine, so much so that I purchased another one this year. So I've got 2 of them, and putting one on the officiant, putting one on the groom, being able to mic both of the people that give speeches, or if sometimes the father of the bride gives a toast or whatever at the beginning of the meal, being able to mic someone that gives prayers or anything like that. Any type of situation where if I only have one, I got to choose who I'm going to put it on, and obviously the couple are going to trump anybody, but having that flexibility of putting them somewhere and still having the Olympus and still having the Zoom H1 to be able to strategically place elsewhere really helps out. So as far as other upgrades go, we really kind of kept the same kits from the rest of the year. We use the same tripod. We use the same monopod. They're the inexpensive one. The tripod I think came from Best Buy. It's a $60 tripod. The monopod we bought offline. Again, another like $50 monopod, which I still use to this day. I still use both of those pieces of equipment. In fact, it wasn't just until this week that I've purchased new tripods and monopods that are actually coming tomorrow to replace, not really replace, but add to the kit that we have built out for our videography services. So when all is said and done, the kit that we used lasted us a full year, and it was phenomenal. It helped us produce some really good quality, and I say good in quotes, good, some acceptable quality memories for our clients, right? The first few we did for very minimal pricing. I think actually the first one we did pro bono. It was just one of Amanda's clients. Then we offered, like, hey, Joe's going to start doing, working on a videography business. Would you mind him coming and filming your wedding? Of course, they'd say yes, because they didn't have a videographer. So having someone come in and film their wedding for free was just like awesome. Well, in going back and looking at the film, which you can, it's on my YouTube channel. It's the first film I uploaded, the first video I uploaded. So if you want to go back and watch it, you can. While it wasn't the greatest quality, and it wasn't like some super high production film, it still met the purpose it needed. Like, it still got me kind of off on the right foot. It showed me I learned a lot that day about composition, lighting, ISO, different lighting arrangement. I learned a lot about light. As far as audio goes, we learned quite a bit all about audio, and that's kind of where I started thinking about, okay, we need to upgrade. We need to start thinking about an upgrade path for these things, because these aren't going to get it done. When we start doing this full time, this is not gonna fly. We need to get a better solution for audio, and I think that's kind of where we started, and where we really kind of learned a lot was we have to have good audio. There's no excuse for not having good audio, because a lot of times that's what people don't hear. People don't hear that sitting all the way in the back of the congregation, or sitting all the way back in the back rows in the pews, they don't hear the vows. They don't hear what the guests are, or what the officiant's saying, unless of course they're mic'd by the DJ or whatever. And sometimes that doesn't happen. So being able to share that experience with my couples, and being able to give them something that they can look back on really kind of pushed me forward to say, you know what, all right, so we need to reinvest what we're making. This first year needs to be reinvested in the business. We need to upgrade the equipment so that we can provide a better quality final product, so that way we can earn more business, more higher paying business, and then just kind of continue that cycle as we go. So kind of stepping away from the gear for a little bit and kind of reflecting a little bit on the actual work that we did. So last year we filmed 8 weddings, so that's actually not that bad for the first time, and actually those 8 weddings were in the span of 6 months. Since we got started so late in the year, you know, our first wedding was in June, and our last wedding was in November. So in that span, we had 8 weddings. So we actually did pretty good for ourselves. We made a decent chunk of change that we were able to reinvest into the company, purchase things like subscriptions to MediaZilla. We purchased website domain names and hosting and stuff like that, even though we're not currently using that. We did purchase that stuff. Hopefully, we'll talk about that in a little bit. So, you know, and then also, like, we purchased a subscription to Soundstripe, which is a licensing music licensing website that we use to put audio in for our weddings. So we follow all copyright laws, so we don't use any of the music that's playing at the reception or in most cases the ceremony, because we just don't want to be sued. I mean, is that too much to ask? So I pride myself on that, and that's something that I tell my brides up front. Like, you know, hey, if you look hard enough, you'll find a videographer that will play, that will keep the copyright music in there, and they'll sell you that copyrighted music. And for me, as a creator, as someone that produces content, as, you know, an artist, you know, I'm not okay with that. And I pride myself on following those rules and following those laws, because, you know, that's someone else's work. Someone else put the time into making and creating that stuff for me to say, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and keep it in this one. I'm going to use it here. And before you know it, you're keeping it, you're not having that hard conversation with your potential brides because you're afraid that they're going to say no. And the thing is, if they're going to say no, then they don't follow your core values. That's fine. That's, you know, they don't have to. That's why we are human. We are free to do what we want. And that's the other thing that I'm kind of impressed on when I look back on this past year, is what we've kind of built as far as this business, as far as the Graphic Sauce Media brand. I knew from the get-go that I wanted to be very customer service oriented. I want to be customer focused and making sure that they get exactly what they want, obviously within our guidelines, right? If they were looking for a particular song, I went and tried, you know, I found the price that it would cost to get that song and presented it to them. Now, I've never had a bride purchase a license to use a song because it's wicked expensive, and once they kind of hear how much it is, and once they hear about the ramifications of using it without the license, then they kind of understand. You know, some of them didn't understand. I'll bet that we lost more than one client this year because of copyright law. I'll guarantee it. I'll guarantee that the fact that it's in my contract, I bring it up in my first conversation with my couple every time I talk with them, right? Those are the two times they hear about it, right? I guarantee that I've run business off because of that. And you know what? I'm okay with that. You know, I'm not looking to steal other people's work. I'm going to try to run this business as clean and as legit as humanly possible, and I pride myself on that. And being customer focused and making sure that, you know, and what I mean by that is, you know, I don't set a time length on when I'm there, and, you know, that's one of the big differences. You know, I see videographers and photographers. They're always, you know, that you see we'll be there for 8 hours. If you want more time, we'll be there for 9 hours. It's going to cost you this much extra. We'll be there for 10 hours. It's going to cost you this much. Oh, you want us there all day? It's going to cost you this much. And the price is just... And what I'm thinking is, you're trying to create memories for people, right? I would rather be there all day, record the entire day in its, entire day in its entirety. And right now we're giving them everything, right? We're giving them, the ceremony documentary. We're giving them a highlight reel that's way too long, right? We're capturing everything and putting it into a highlight reel that sometimes is in the 20-minute range, right? And you're also getting a teaser trailer as well that's about 1 minute long. You're getting those 3 films, right? And kind of where I want to move towards is saying, you know what? We'll record the whole day. We'll record everything. What film do you want? And then put a price point on that. Because what you can do with that in the long term is if a bride wants to come back and say, you know what? We love that highlight reel so much. How much would it cost to get the actual ceremony done as a documentary? Upselling them on the actual product where you spend more time. You spend more time editing than you do at the actual shooting of the wedding. Upselling on that. That's kind of where I'm leaning on going. For now, it's not changing. For now, we're going to be there all day. We'll record everything from you getting your hair and makeup done all the way to the final dance. And sometimes even further than that with like sparkler send-offs and stuff like that. Heck, we've even thought about offering a sparkle send-off just as kind of like an added bonus. Like, hey, you know what? You don't have to worry about it. We'll purchase the sparklers. You just show up for the final farewell. And we haven't ruled it out yet, but that's a possibility for 2020. And to be honest with you, they always turn out great, right? Very rarely does it not turn out well. Like if it's a smaller, more compact wedding, it's not going to be as epic as if you have like 200 people outside this door and you got all these, this row of sparklers, right? So in some cases, it's not going to be a viable option, but most of the time, as a free added bonus, why not? It looks good on film. It's an excellent way to close out a highlight reel. It's fantastic. So, the more I talk about it, the more I get excited about it. And so the other thing that I'm kind of excited about is, and I kind of touched on this earlier, is in the improvement in my knowledge and what I've gained from not only filming weddings, but the different YouTube channels that I've watched, Scott McKenna, Peter McKinnon, Maddie, there's, White and Reverie, Cody Blue, there's probably a dozen others that I watch on a regular basis, and just the amount of knowledge that they've put out in the past year, not even in the past year, their back catalog as well, because I've dived into their past catalog and learned so much from them, and it's amazing the community that's out there, right? Before you'd have to pay for this knowledge. Like you'd have to pay someone, you'd have to go to school to learn the things that they're teaching for free. And yeah, they're getting paid from like YouTube advertisements and things like that, and they're getting paid from like, donations and things like that, and that's great. Heck, I've donated to them as well. I'm, because of the knowledge that I'm getting out of their content. It's making me money. Hell, it helped purchase this house. It's amazing the amount of knowledge that you can get. If you want to do something creatively, it's right there on your screen. Heck, there's, you got a half-hour lunch at work, right there. Cue whatever you want to do. Cue it up. Find out who's the best of the best in that industry. They've got to have a YouTube channel. If they don't, find the second best. Find the third best. Find someone that's on that YouTube channel and learn. That's all there is to it. It's really that easy. So much so that I wish I had done more of it, right? I'm just now starting to get into podcasts, and I've been into podcasts before, but I'm just now getting into listening to podcasts around this craft, right? Before it was just YouTube channels, right? And that's great, that's fantastic. But there's also like something to be said about podcasts where it's just audio, and it's the theories, and it's the motivation, and it's the kind of the stuff that when you're feeling kind of like the day I had yesterday, where I filmed an entire vlog, and I was kind of excited, kind of down, because I'm always excited to talk to you guys, but editing it was just such a bear. And you know what? I listened to a couple podcasts today. I watched a couple I watched a couple YouTube channels, and I kind of got that spark back. And I was like, you know what? I need to talk about our 1-year anniversary. I need to cover what we learned and what's the future for this channel, for this business, and where we're at. And I got that kind of spark back. And that's what I think these other creators provide, and you can't get that anywhere else. All right, so let's talk about this year. What we're looking to accomplish in the next 360 some odd days. Let's talk about the equipment. So the idea is to make the switch to 4K, to make the switch to 4K video as quickly as possible. To do that, we're going to need to purchase at least one other GH5, right? And another lens to go with it. So that right there is going to be a huge expense. And something that we're going to have to work towards, right? That we had to work towards getting the first one. But being able to offer a full film from start to finish in 4K is a bullet point that I feel will warrant the price that we're looking for. When you're looking at market pricing and what people are charging for 4K footage and 4K films, I believe we can get there. So that's going to be something that we're going to want to do between the end of 2019 and 2020. We already purchased a drone. We picked up the original Mavic. Shoots in 4K, which is in line with what we want to do as far as our 4K footage is concerned. We just need to get a license to fly it commercially. So that's on the docket for this upcoming year. We're also looking for a 3-camera setup. Now I don't know how that's going to work with our 4K goal, because if we purchase another GH5, that'll be 2 cameras, and then we'll still be using the Nikon, which is a 1080p camera. So there might be some give and take there. Maybe we'll be like 85% 4K and some 1080p up-res. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I would like to have a 3-camera solution in 2020. The other thing I've been toying around with is hiring a second shooter, and not necessarily for shooting the same weddings. I would like to branch out and shoot 2 weddings a day. Being able to send a second shooter to another location, to another venue, to another wedding, shoot them while we're shooting and filming another wedding somewhere else. Branching out like that will offer more revenue to purchase said 3-camera 4K solution. It's also the downside of that is there's more editing time involved, because now we're shooting twice as much. It's going to take twice as longer to do it. So kind of the part that's going to help streamline that process is understanding what we want to record, right? Right now we're recording roughly 30 to 35 gigabytes of data between the audio, video, the multiple cameras, a shoot. We might be recording too much, and I kind of feel that might be a thing. We're recording, and it's not that we're, I want to cut out the object that we're recording, but we're recording 3, sometimes 4 takes of the same thing. So those are really the things that I'm kind of looking forward to in this next year, kind of upgrading some more equipment, offering some more beneficial packages and bullet points to my clients. We've got a lot planned. In 2020, I'm also looking to be a little bit more active on social media as far as Instagram goes. Like I said, well, I did say in yesterday's vlog, but you guys never saw that. So I do have a couple plans for my Instagram account, so make sure that you are following on Instagram on Graphic Sauce Media. The other thing that I want to look at this year is actually getting my website up and running finally. So I think that will probably be a project for December, just because I've got one wedding in December as of right now, and it's late December, so I'll have basically the whole month to I'll have like the whole month to prepare and get it ready. So, you know, between now and then I can design it, you know, go to the drawing board, you know, get it sketched up the way I want it, and then really just kind of dive in, you know, come December 1st and put together the actual website, and voila. So the other thing that's kind of on the back burner right now is I'd like to have some type of merchandise, so like some type of like t-shirts or whatever that have like the logo and things on it. I haven't really thought too much into that front or explored those avenues yet. Aside from Custom Ink, I've really never used any other distributor or creator for that kind of thing. I've always purchased like blank shirts myself and put vinyl presses on, and I don't want to go that route. I want something a little bit more professionally done. So that's way down the line. But for sure, December is going to be getting the website put together and uploaded before that last wedding of the year. So truly looking forward to 2020. 2019 and the end of 2018 was a roller coaster. There was a lot of things that went wrong, but there was a lot more that went right. And I think at the end of the day, when you're looking at what went wrong and what went right, you kind of have to look at it and say, okay, well, this went wrong, but we learned from it, we evolved, we changed things. This is what we changed. This is now how we do things. And it just goes to show you that if you make a mistake, it's okay, right? It's okay to make mistakes, but if you don't learn from that mistake and you make it again and again and again and again and again, that's on you, right? So when you're first starting out, you know, you're gonna make mistakes, and I can tell you from personal experience, I still make mistakes. Heck, the wedding that I'm editing right now, we thought we were on time for the procession. No, we weren't. Turns out that the bride was late too. So we were out shooting with the bride, and they had started the procession without us. I'm not really sure what they were planning on going to do if we kept shooting for like another 20 minutes and she was out with us. Like, you really can't have a wedding without a bride. But hey. But you learn, you kind of learn in when you have those types of, one-off mistakes, just like, you know what, next time, it's not going to happen, because, I'm going to make sure that I know exactly when they want to start the ceremony, and I'm going to be there 20 minutes early. So that way I've got everything set up, cameras are rolling, all digital recorders are recording, everybody kind of knows where they're going to be. We've got all the cameras set up as far as positioning, lighting is concerned, audio recorders are going, all that stuff. So, that will never happen again. So, anyway, guys, I really appreciate you watching. I really appreciate all the views, all the comments, all the likes, subscriptions, all 8 of you. Thank you very much. Like I said, 2018 was fantastic. I had a lot of fun, learned a lot, and I can't wait to share with you what happens in year 2. So we're going to get back to it, guys. Thanks for watching, and let's get it.